Hi, I'm Steve Audubon. I absolutely love this job at the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center. One of the reasons is, guess we have our good friend from CNN, Alisyn Camerota, anchor of New Day. Did you see your co-anchor there?
I did. How can I miss him? I know. I watched his whole piece with you. It was great. Great interview.
Chris Cuomo is great, right? You guys are good together. What's the whole thing with the chemistry in the morning? By the way, when can everyone catch you?
6 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday.
What is the key to chemistry in the morning?
Well, I've always found that I really like my co-hosts, all of them, because I find them interesting and I find them funny. And Chris Cuomo is that. He's so funny. People don't know that. If you don't know Chris, because he's a serious journalist, he's on the front lines, whenever there's breaking news, he's out there, you don't know that he's like insanely funny. So when you see us laughing on the show, that's for real. He's actually cracking me up all the time. And I'm always interested in the way he's going to approach a segment, what he's going to ask. You know, I mean, I think that chemistry is actually sort of liking each other and really being interested in how you tackle the subject.
Let's talk a little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up?
New Jersey. Monmouth County, New Jersey.
Down at the Jersey Shore?
Yes. Best place in the world to grow up.
Isn't it best?
The best place to grow up. I mean, I honestly, I don't know who I would have been or what I would have been like if I hadn't grown up in Shrewsbury, New Jersey.
Shrewsbury?
Yes!
I was married the first time. I'm not Larry King. It's not like the first time at
Shadowbrook.
The Shadowbrook.
I knew it.
How did you know that?
Because I know who you are, Steve. I can figure this out.
Because that's where people get married down there. That's why. Yes, and that. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful part of the Jersey Shore. New York, to you, growing up there, meant what?
Oh, okay. So New York meant adventure. It meant sort of the big world. When I was in elementary school, I would come up here to see Broadway shows and to see the ballet and stuff like that. So that was always exciting. And then when I was a teenager, we were in love with some bands that would play at CBGB's or the Mud Club, and we would come up, you know, in high school to see them. And it was thrilling. So New York was always this sort of emerald city to me of Technicolor excitement. Now, you know, living here on a day-to-day basis is different than just like popping in for something exciting and you realize what a challenge it is to actually live here. But as a teenager, it was great to live 40 miles away.
How about broadcasting? The idea of broadcasting. I mean, I grew up, right, just on the other side of the river. So we're looking across Newark, New Jersey, and then Montclair, and this was always the idea, like this is where you wanted to be. And the idea that we're doing this right here with our partners at WNET in the heart of Lincoln Center, Broadway, you're like, hey, this is it,
Completely.
right?
I would always come up to Lincoln Center shows when I was a kid, yeah.
But for you, did you say to yourself, I want to be a broadcaster out of New York City?
Well, I said I want to be a broadcaster. I said I wanted to be a reporter, and I wanted to be a TV journalist when I was about 15 years old. I was in high school, and I would always watch the Phil Donahue show. And Phil Donahue would be running around his studio audience with a microphone and like asking people questions.
Right.
And I thought, is that a job? Can I do that? Can you make money doing that? I'm interested in people's stories. Yes. I'm interested in asking people's questions. Can you be on TV?
So it was Phil.
It was Phil.
By the way,
Donahue.
Marlo Thomas was here just a couple months ago.
Really?
She's the best too. So that got it for you. What was your first job?
My first job, I went to American University for broadcast journalism.
Down in Washington.
In Washington. And when I graduated, I went to work for a new small startup called Koppel Communications, which was Ted Koppel's production company.
Oh.
And I was the only person hired from outside of ABC. I was a desk assistant, you know, the lowest on the totem pole. And there was just about, I don't know, 7 or 8 of us. And I got to, for 2.5 years, study Ted, watch how he kind of boxed in people for all of his interviews. You know, he was known as a preeminent interviewer in that way. And so I was always logging his tapes. And so I got to hear his strategy for doing it. So that was my first job. And I've loved it ever since. It was the right choice.
16 years at Fox.
Yeah.
Started when?
Gosh, I think it started in 1998.
Only a couple of years after they started.
That's right. I was one of I'm sort of the freshman class. Shepard Smith, Rick Leventhal, Jay Wallace, who was just promoted there, he's behind the camera, Brett Baer. We were all part of sort of mostly the same class. And I was the New England correspondent for many years, 8 years in Boston, before I came to New York. They moved me to New York. So I have a lot of history and experience with them.
Talk about the transition to CNN. What's it been like for you?
It's been great. I mean, it's been great. It's been a real dream come true. From the minute that I got there, you know, Jeff Zucker is a great person to work for.
The boss over at CNN.
The boss at CNN, the president of CNN. I love working for him. I love having him as a boss. He stopped by my office every day for about a month, like, you okay? Everybody being nice to you? Everything going okay? How's the transition? You know, really concerned about the transition, and it's been wonderful. I mean, I've had a lot of opportunity at CNN. It's been kind of dizzying, and it's been all the stuff that I always dreamed of doing. So I'm really grateful.
And one of our top executive producers here in the public broadcasting family, David Brown, knows you from the business, and he talks about the kind of person you are. And one of the things that David has said about you is, people say someone's the quintessential professional, but what he really said is, you're all in with a story. Like sometimes people are out front on the camera, but you're ultimately a producer of stories, and you're fascinated by people. You say?
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that he knows that. I do like people's stories. That is why I got into this. And so when I go someplace, for instance, when I was just in Brussels for the terrible terrorist attack there, you know, I didn't want to just stand tethered to our live shot location. You know, we had to sort of go feel it and experience it and see what was really happening in Brussels, because it's so different. When, you know, before I got there, before I landed, I thought, I'm going into a terrorist hotbed. This is going to be really scary and really extreme. This is a dangerous situation. And it probably was one of the dangerous assignments. However, when you get there, you realize that everybody's living their life. And I wanted to go into these neighborhoods and see what it was really like for people who lived in the so-called hotbed of terrorists neighborhoods. And we went in and we talked to people, and we saw kids running around, and we talked to parents about what their lives were like. And that, you know, sort of feeling and trying on the story is why I got into this business.
Shift gears, and excuse me, this is a little bit dangerous because the time in May of 2016, things will change, but it appears as if, as we move into this presidential election, and as you know, because the Chris Cuomo interview has aired for a while, it will air for a while, and even after, potentially.
So you want me to be, like, have my crystal ball?
Yeah. So you've been a part of interviews with Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. Just let me do the Trump thing, get it out of the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your reaction to him. From a media perspective, what's it been like? Is he the gift that keeps on giving?
Yes, I mean, from a media perspective, that's different from a reporter or a newscaster. Okay. From a media perspective, yes, this is a wild ride that we've just lassoed and hung on for dear life. And obviously, whenever he's on, the ratings go up. The amount of viewers that have come to New Day, not just because of Donald Trump, but because of the wild ride.
New Day is the name of your morning show.
Of our morning show. Right. So we're having record ratings right now. And it's because I think that people can't get enough of what's happening in this presidential race. Every day is a new surprise, something that nobody has ever seen before. All these unprecedented things keep happening. Now, in terms of a newscaster and a reporter trying to figure out Trump, has been a challenge, because who is he really?
Has he gotten away with not having to be accountable for who and what he is?
Well, I think that we are trying to now fact check and hold him accountable for the things that he says. You know, he paints in broad brushstrokes, which is great for a soundbite, but it's not great for specifics. So it's our job. I mean, look, you know, we are the people on the front lines of trying to hold all the public officials accountable. So if we've let him get away with it, then shame on us. And it's up to us to say, what do you mean by that foreign policy? What do you mean by you're going to dispense with ISIS immediately? How are you going to do that? Give me specifics. So we try to do that whenever we can. You know, he calls in. He calls in on the phone as opposed to coming into studio. So sometimes it's a little bit harder. Technically, it's a little bit harder when somebody's on the phone.
He's more in control.
He's more in control, and you also can't read somebody. You know, the way you and I are sort of sitting here, I can see you, I can understand, I can tell how my words are affecting you. It's harder, but, you know, those are the rules in this one.
Hillary Clinton. Do you believe that, well, let me ask you this. Hillary Clinton and the media, she often believes she's a target, unfairly targeted. You say?
I think that Hillary Clinton had an opportunity that I don't think she's exploiting yet in terms of with the media. She should take a page from Trump's book. She should be more accessible. Trump calls into the media morning shows every week, sometimes daily. Sometimes he does many shows daily. She has been harder to get to.
Does she want to be accessible?
I don't think so. And so it's like the chicken and egg. I think that she doesn't want to be accessible because she thinks she hasn't been treated fairly. She thinks that she's been attacked or blindsided in some way by the media. Yet, because of that, she's not accessible. So when we get her, we try to ask everything all at once and try to hold her feet to the fire. So I think it's this vicious cycle that I would like to see her, because Trump has set the tone. Where he calls in, he's highly accessible. He's nothing if not accessible to the media. He does all sorts of media interviews every single day. And I think that it's time for Hillary Clinton in this year, 2016, to do that. That seems to be working for people. They're eating it up.
A couple minutes left. Morning television. Tell everyone the hours you're on again.
6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Time to get up.
3 a.m.
No, come on, stop.
I know. It's torture. Isn't that the worst? I mean, honestly, it's torture. Nobody should live this way because...
But you chose to.
Well, yes, because I didn't really understand the physically grueling toll that it will take on you, number one.
No, excuse me. You did more. No, Alisyn, at the other place, I visited you a few times.
I interviewed you several times.
Yes, and I visited you in the new place. You know what getting up at that time is.
Yes, I meant back then at Fox that when I got started in this, I didn't realize how much waking up at 3 a.m. takes out of you. But I've done it for so long because I'm now sort of identified with morning TV. That's my brand is morning TV.
Yes.
And the thing that's good about morning TV that keeps me getting out of bed and coming back for more is that it's more of a personality vehicle. You do more of the gamut of stories from human interest to features to everything. So that is what morning TV is. It fits me, but I just wish I could have morning TV on from noon to 3 p.m.
Resolve is?
Oh, Resolve is the National Infertility Association. It's a charity close to my heart. 1 out of every 8 couples struggles with infertility. I did. I always prayed to God. I said, if I'm ever on the other side of this, I'll do whatever I can to help people. So now I talk about it. I'm on the board of Resolve, and they try to have everybody who wants to have a family able to have a family.
The new school of Monmouth County. At public television, we love people who are involved in educational nonprofit organizations, so we give you a chance to plug that.
I really appreciate that. The new school is where I went to school from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It's a small, very tiny, progressive school. They've been around for 45 years on a, sort of shoestring budget. They take all sorts of different kids who, for whatever reason, public school didn't work for them. And they're just a really, really special place. So my husband and I provide a scholarship fund to kids who wouldn't otherwise be able to go there. And they gave me one when I was young to be able to go there. And so I try to pay it forward.
You love your Jersey roots, don't you?
I do.
They help define you.
Completely. I don't know who I would be. I mean, I've always said, Steve, geography is destiny. Where you were born ends up defining who you are.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Every day
I know
when
you feel it.
Believe me, I do. I sit there and go, what am I doing here? And then you realize it's part of, I don't know why it works out the way it does, but I'm glad it does. But the Jersey roots never leave you. Listen, say hello to our friend, Chris Cuomo.
Will do.
You guys have a great show over at CNN, and the public television family wishes you and your colleagues nothing but the best.
Thanks so much. Great to talk to you, Steve.
You got it. Stay with us. We'll be right back from the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Manhattan. We'll be right back.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Virtua, Wells Fargo, Caldwell University, the New Jersey Education Association, Suez, Johnson & Johnson, and by KESSLER Foundation. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.